Happy Friday. Happy Friday night. Hopes everybody having a blessed Friday night going into the Easter vacation, Easter Sunday. Man, we had, especially the women on the women basketball side of the game has taken over uh these YouTube streets. Is anybody even talking about the men's coach?
Not a whole lot, bro. To be honest with you, not really.
Well, we're gonna cook on that. No worries, no worries. Even though people are beating it to death right now, of course, we're gonna give our little 2 cents. You know. Uh, Also, I just want to say shout out to the mighty LDBC Lions Den Boxing Channel or community, I should say. Shout out to all those brothers. Shout out to the General 78 Sports TV. Also, shout out to my brother Hendo with his Rogue podcast, and everybody, Coach Sip to Tally Sports, and there's a whole bunch of them good brothers. Josh, I know I'm missing somebody. You know, my
Mike.
bad. Mike, yes, sir.
And then shout out to the Bayou podcast too. With
Yeah,
Coach.
Bayou 67 Sports TV, the Bayou. Please check that brother out. All of them. Shout out to Suge Knight 323. All those brothers, man. Support, please. But and of course, please like and subscribe. I appreciate it. Every little bit counts, so I appreciate y'all. I know I'm a little new jack YouTube channel, but please show this brother some love now.
Show him love, baby. Show him love.
But March, we're going to go right into it. March Madness is right. March Madness is like it's a fitting name for this basketball time of year.
Man.
This year was crazy, and I must say the ladies, who was hooping up this year did their thing, especially the Iowa Hawkeyes, and of course for the first time national champions. And I know Coach over there smiling because he's a Louisiana boy. The LSU Tigers. They defeated the Iowa Hawkeyes. The score was very close in it looked, but during the fourth quarter, those ladies, the LSU ladies started to pull away. It was a very entertaining game. Would you say so, fellas?
Yes, Lord.
I think Coach paused. And for the men's, I believe UConn beat San Diego State, correct?
Yeah, nobody ain't watched that, bro.
Coach, did you watch the UConn versus San Diego State game?
Yeah, I was able to see some of it. I had a whole lot going on Monday night, but I saw a little bit of the game.
He going in and out. But point taken, JB. You said nobody watched that, and Coach said he just watched a little bit. Go ahead, Coach. We can hear you now, brother.
Yeah, but like I was saying though, I wasn't too interested, bro. I'm not even gonna lie. I watched just a little bit. I was really intrigued. My cousin said last week on Bayou Sports Talk, it was all about the women, and I give him credit. He was right on it.
It was all about the women, and they did their thing, man. I mean, they did their thing, man. And I do want to say, uh, shout out to I don't know if it was either Rue Dog or Raymond, um, uh, one of your co-hosts, or one of the two, a co-host in your Bayou Sports Talk, um, who basically said, I remember he said that they that the LSU, him being an LSU fan, he rather faced Iowa than South Carolina because he felt like they matched up better with Iowa versus South Carolina. And as I was watching it, and I'll be honest with you, my dad was watching this too. He was watching the uh the ladies play. He was intrigued with the LSU ladies.
He called it.
He called it too. But your co-host basically was right that they look at some point. It was like whatever Kate and Clark did. LSU had three players to top it.
Right. They had three players that had an answer for.
Yeah,
They had a deep bench, and like Pops was saying, because I was looking at South Carolina. I ain't gonna lie, I was rooting for South Carolina. So but they got the Iowa dropped them off. Uh, Caitlin, the Caitlin girl, she did her thing. Caitlin Clark. Yeah, I mean she's the truth. But as Pop said, hey, y'all need to look at this LSU team. They got a girl named Angel Reese. Got that girl Morris, number 45, and you got a couple of cats coming off the bench that can light them up. And Pop said that Caitlin Clark girl, if they're gonna win, she has to score about 50 points.
and I ain't gonna lie, I wasn't interested. And that may be the just being all into men's, and then after my Tar Heels got eliminated, or didn't even make
Don't
the
don't
Sweet
don't do that.
16.
Don't talk about the Tar Heels, bro.
but 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 the men was okay. But after a while, like Coach and JB was saying, uh, I got sidetracked and start doing other things, and then like JB said, our pops was like, man, you gotta, watch these LSU girls, and we checked them out, and man, they were entertaining, man. I mean, they was outdoing the fellas as far as just being competitive and just I mean, it was entertaining. I mean, that's all I can say. What did you think, Coach 67 Sports TV?
Like I said, I think y'all bring up some valid points. Me personally,
He cut out again.
so they had issues with South Carolina. South Carolina beat them early in the season or whatever, and he didn't want to see South Carolina again. But me personally,
Coach cutting out. And Coach Till, I'm sorry, brother, until you get your audio. Can you hear me now? Can you hear us now?
I can hear you. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, you was cutting out. We didn't even hear what you said.
But no, but I was saying, it was a good game, but to be truthful, I kind of want to see them play South Carolina, me personally, But I think them playing Iowa, it benefited them. The way my cousin said last week on the show, because they matched up better with Iowa than they did South Carolina.
Yes, yes, like your cousin said, and I pointed that out. Um, thank you, D Weezy. He said he can hear us. Appreciate you dropping by, brother. Love you. Um, but I can see why y'all say that because I'm not gonna lie. I drank the Kool Aid. Kate and Clark. I watched that game. How she basically, lit up South Carolina, and South Carolina didn't have an answer for uh, Kate and Clark.
Can you repeat that, bro? You cut out for a little minute.
I was saying that I can see why you guys said that now because I watched Iowa versus South Carolina, and South Carolina did not have an answer for Caitlin Clark whatsoever. So
No, they
any
did.
lead, so any lead they was able to have, they didn't have it long because Caitlin Clark was, raining threes, man. But I see what your cousin and my pops and what you guys were saying, and it, and I didn't it finally kicked into like the fourth quarter, and I was like, damn, LSU deep.
And then and then you gotta remember South Carolina had that one girl they center was probably matched up against Angel Reese. So and I think she was the player of the year or something
Yeah,
like that. The girl from South Carolina. Look her up. And but what happened was they had no, like you said, they had no answer for Caitlin Clark. But when they played LSU, um,
the roll
LSU
pie. What's
so
up, brother?
deep. LSU was so deep. You had girls like Morris, the girl with the I forgot her. She had like blonde, like a blonde afro. She just came out of nowhere. She just hit him up with straight six threes. Six straight threes,
Mm.
and lit their ass up. So it was a good game. I enjoyed it. I watched a little bit of the UConn and San Diego State. Who cares? UConn got another one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
San Diego State did try to make a run at the end, but no, everybody knew that UConn was gonna win that.
Yeah, the girls did it this thing, and what impressed me about LSU, even though Caitlin Clark still had at a well of a game, man.
Oh, she cold.
LSU had several players to heat up to out hustle Iowa. And going back to what your cousin and you were saying, JB, like, of course, you remember what I told you before the game. I need to see it. I need somebody to prove me wrong that somebody can stop Caitlin Clark. And you and Pops were trying to tell me, yeah, hey, LSU deep. Iowa basically matches up bad against this LSU team. I'm like, whatever, But like I said, watching the game, like, damn, they like Caitlin Clark doing her thing, but it wasn't enough because LSU had players coming off the bench. Them ladies, them girls, young women doing their thing, man. Go
and
ahead,
and
JB.
and of and of course, and it wasn't really, and they didn't really stop her. But it's like with a player like you said, you gotta contain it like players like she got that Steph Curry game. You know what I'm saying? Where she just she'll launch from the barnyard. You know what I'm saying, and make it. and take you off the dribble. So you really can't stop her. Let her get her 25, 30, 35, and then you gotta stop everybody else, make everybody else beat you. That's one thing that South Carolina didn't do. South Carolina was South Carolina. What bothered me about South Carolina, they let Caitlin go to the rim too easy. They was beating.
Yes,
Yes, they didn't. They were beating them off the dribble, and Caitlin had a free layup. But she
several
couldn't do
times.
that. She couldn't do that with LSU. So them girls made her take those shots. You make those great players do great things. That's how you make them beat you, and then make everybody else step up. And that's what LSU did. Great. I mean, the ladies did good a good job. But of course, Gerald Levin Green and Coach, we gotta talk about afterwards. The
Oh, of
controversy.
course, we gonna get there. We just right now we talking about how good of the game was. So we're gonna cook on that. Just hold on.
I
Um, Another thing that impressed me was how unselfish Angel Reese was. She would just diss it to Morris, diss it to Johnson. You know what I mean?
rebounds.
Yeah.
She got them off. She was crashing the offensive glass.
Yes. I was like, damn, some of them Tar Heel boys need to learn some stuff from her.
You ain't lying. But that don't. Let's not go down that road. That's
Yeah, we ain't gonna talk about it. We ain't gonna talk about it tonight. I'm so
You
fine.
got one of the
You
best.
later.
You got the one of the best damn big men in the game, but you trying to make a damn 3 point 3 point shooting team that don't even shoot threes good. When we are inside team and mid range team, Hubert Davis, bro.
Oh yeah, we about to go into them waters. Let's
Yeah.
stay on topic. 'Cause we can talk
Oh,
about it all. But after all we running our mouth, Coach, what was your input on that?
Well, I mean, like I say, my sentiment was likewise. I mean, Kim Mulkey, you got to give her credit. She's a real good coach. And, the thing
Yes,
that impressed me from a coaching standpoint, is the depth because, I've coached both boys and girls, high school basketball and boys middle school basketball. And from a high school and a college perspective in terms of girls, you know, having a lot of depth and having a deep team, it can kind of take you to another level. And I think that's the thing that kind of helped LSU is the fact that they're a deeper team, because usually when you bring in players off the bench, it's a huge drop off in terms of talent, especially, on a high school level when I was coaching girls. So, it just was kind of impressive just watching how deep LSU team is. And, we always talk about, transfers, this, that, and the third, but there have a lot of transfers on that team. So I'm assuming that those NIL deals that they must have some pretty good NIL deals.
they must have
yes, Lord. Y'all need to go watch the shout out to the
the pivot.
Pivot podcast. They had Angel Reese and the dark skinned chocolate chick on there. She was fine. That was on there. Um, and
Yeah,
then they told me they had like 6, 7 figures. So yeah, them in the NIL deals is they getting paid.
oh yeah, NIL, like me and Jared was talking about, it's a game changer from the standpoint of, teams that, might have been just kind of, toiling in the wind at this point with the NIL deal, basically is a game changer. I think that's the reason why, I hate to say it, but I'm gonna just be real. I think the reason why that Nick Saban hasn't had the same kind of success that he's had in the past, because I think that the playing field has kind of leveled off somewhat.
Oh, be real. This is the environment. This is the platform where you be real. Of course,
Oh,
be respectful, but be real. Say it.
Oh yeah,
Go
oh
ahead.
yeah. I mean, it's transparent. I mean, since the NIL deals have really come to fruition, how many national championships has Alabama won? I mean, just think about it. It's just food for thought.
And the girl name is I think her name is Flu J Johnson.
Yeah,
Fly,
that's
Fly J.
Fly J, thank you. Her and Angel was on Pivot Podcast.
Yeah, shout
I
out to
just,
them brothers, man. They doing their thing, man. And we gonna go into and coach. I don't know. I'll if you're subscribed to the road podcast. They was cooking on that, and Suge Knight,
Septali Films.
Tally Films, all those brothers was cooking on this topic, and they had very great perspectives. Um,
78.
78.
well. If y'all going where y'all think I'm going, well, I think y'all going. I already did a video on it. Of course, I only got like like 7 views, but I know where you're going there. So
Oh, I watched it, and I like your perspective too. So
yeah, yeah.
um,
Let's make gumbo. Let's put all the opinions together.
all right. So everybody know, of course, after the game, Miss Angel Reese pointed at her hand, that sign, pointing at her finger, basically like, yeah, heifer, give me my ring. Um, uh, and she did the John Cena,
You
you
can't
can't
see
see
me.
me
Mm-hmm.
motion,
As she should.
and it just being real, just being very transparent. Uh, Social media went crazy, but it was, of course, race was involved.
Mm-hmm.
So it was coming from a lot of opinions and
Grown ass white dudes.
yeah, and distasteful comments were coming from a lot of white people, older white people. You know what I mean? And I forgot the guy's name. This white guy.
Uh, Dave Pointer, he's the owner of Barstool Sports.
I ain't want to say his name. Screw that dude. But
Well, I feel the same way, but
yeah, I hear you. I hear
I
you.
mean,
Nah, Jared. Let Coach put that dude out there.
I
Bump
mean,
you, dude.
it's he's so out there at this point that you know people already know who he is, so it's already out there. So we really can't suppress it at this point.
So my question was, do do we remember the Larry Birds and the Gary Paytons and the Vernon Maxwell and all the great trash talkers in basketball? Now, and Hendo, help me out. I think it was on Suge Knight's. He had a great podcast, Suge Knight 323. This it was a troll, a white guy troll. He jumps in the comment section and it's like, and he tried to make it. It was weird. He tried to make it like um a sexual thing, like not like uh yeah, I was stepping over Lou. Yeah, that's right, D Weezy. But he tried to make it like a gender thing. I shouldn't say sexual. The right term is gender, like a gender issue. Like basically, he tried to make it like that's why women shouldn't be. To me, where he was coming from, the perspective he was coming from, that's why women shouldn't be playing sports because they're copying. And then he tried to act like men don't behave. He basically said, "Well, men never act like that. Like, dude, you could tell you never played sports before.
Clearly,
Hell
Never."
no.
clearly.
And I was like, "We're okay." So that's what it is. So that spirit, that spirit uncovered itself, and everybody who's just being real, and I'm sure some black, excuse me, some white people with a good head on their shoulders, with good discernment, caught it too. That ugly racial hot seat came out again. So they tried to say, basically, what do you expect? She old girl from Maryland, LSU, the good girls from the hood. You know what I mean? So
But
all those
Caitlyn,
perspectives came from. Go ahead, JB.
I'm sorry. I was saying that the Caitlyn girl, did that to a
You
SEC
beat me to it.
opponent,
Yes, go ahead, Josh. JB.
and nobody had a problem with it. Am I echoing?
No,
Okay.
you good.
So, and then, what I'm saying? People want to throw in, well, she didn't follow the girl around, and listen, trash talk is trash talk. And everybody on this panel who's played sports have did some trash talking and received some trash talking. It's part of the game. And I think a lot of times, especially when you had because come on now, you had what the start lineup anyway was five black girls versus five white girls. You know what I'm saying? But uh, and like I said on the on Sip the Tallies broadcast, sometimes I thought it was LSU versus five dudes because some of them Iowa players was looking like Nick Nolte, but um, it was the LSU girls did their thing. You know what I'm saying? So um,
Hey,
it,
chill,
it's
Josh.
just what I'm just saying, bro. They wanted them girls to win so bad. And don't forget, we watched that South Carolina game. Them was some terrible calls. That was some of the worst officiating I seen though too.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. People thought the officiating for the LSU and Iowa game was bad. They
Go
should have.
watch that South Carolina game. Yeah.
Yeah, that was horrible too. Like the center for South Carolina, she couldn't do jack.
So I already knew that and I'm glad Pops told me to look at it because I'm like, okay, they want her to win so bad, and on top of that, Caitlyn was busting ass. She was good. You see what I'm saying? So so after LSU, won, you could see it, and everybody was in their feelings. And and then on top of that, you got the our president Jill Biden trying to invite you know, the second runner up to the White House, but that ain't never been done in sports history. So I mean, it was just crazy. It shows that, man, most of these people out here be talking about playing fair and race. These people be lying, bro. They be lying. We see that in boxing.
Yeah,
That's why the LDBC, Gerald Green and the rest of the LDBC and coach be riding for Deontay Wilder. Because we knew what it was and know what it was. But getting back to the basketball and the LSU basketball and the Iowa basketball and the situation surrounding it, it was just. It's not even. I can't even say it's eye opening because we already know what it is, especially us, the people in the LDBC. So it
Yeah,
is what it is.
yeah. Let me read these comments. So Rogue Pod said he was just saying stuff without knowledge. Yep, but he changed his tune in the end. Yeah, I bet he did. D Weezy said men literally cover their mouth so you can't read the lips and know what shot they said. Or yeah. What S they say. Yeah, I feel that. If everyone reacted how Clark did, this wouldn't even been in the story. It's sad. Yeah, when she was what team was it when she was mocking like, and there was several instances of her like um and I ain't gonna lie. Can I be honest with you? Hold on, JB. I
Uh-huh.
love it. I like that about her. She'll get knocked down and she'll shoot three like threes back to back and then look at her whoever's guarding her like you can't stop me and then say something to them where they can only hear it. See that what Larry Bird used to do, and that's even worse than you being loud. When Larry Bird and Michael Jordan was masters of that, when you talk it talk junk to whoever's guarding you, but you say it loud enough where they can only hear it, so it can get them off their game.
People don't know nothing about that, man. We raising we're this is this everybody love everybody generation where like if we play all three of us play football, we everybody talk trash. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, they
You might
can.
get an elbow, or you might when especially after if in the skirmish in the pile, and us being in a defensive player playing football, we know what the pile is. You might you might get a punch thrown in that mud. So
Well, I had more than the punch. I done had a whole lot worse than being punched on the bottom of the pile happened. So
stone cleats, all that. I don't hear nothing about that. Nobody acting like that girl did the worst. Come on, man. Come on. And especially I don't want to hear that by no damn man. Whoever we know we play sports, we do much worse.
Yeah, there's plenty of times I made tackles, or when I was on the wrestling team,
Jared,
I didn't use a guy's head to get up multiple
I was
times.
about to say that when you played, I think we played. I don't know what team. I think we played roulette or somebody like that. You tackle the dude, and then you use his helmet to get back up. So you were dirty too. So I know you ain't like you said. You not don't see nothing wrong with Caitlyn the Angel did because you was a dirty player,
I wasn't that dirty.
bro. You. Now let me. You remember that dude that you when the guard was pulling and then you kind of chopped him below and then broke his leg when what team were we playing? South Garland or something like that.
I can't remember. But y'all look at this comment that the Rogue Pod put, and this is what we talking about. He said ESPN did a segment on Caitlyn called Queen of the Clapbacks with all her trash talk. Yep.
yeah, and I mean it just kind of highlights the ridiculous double standard, for those individuals that saw my take on it. Of course, a lot of people addressed it, 7-8, champ side, Scotty, with off script, a lot of people addressed it. And And Jared, I don't know if you remember our very first episode. We talked about these double standards. In the
Yes.
LDBC, it's not that we don't like Loma. Even though Black Fight fan ride for Loma hard, it's not
Yeah, they
that we
do.
don't like Loma. It's the fact that Loma gets a certain level of special treatment that Black fighters don't get. And
The Tyson Fury treatment.
yeah, I mean Tyson Fury, another example. Even like Brett Favre. I see this on our very very first episode. It wasn't that I didn't like Brett Favre because of him personally. I didn't like the fact that if a black quarterback threw in a double coverage, it was a stupid decision. But Brett Favre literally was throwing a quadruple coverage, and he's a gunslinger. You know, uh, Oscar De La Hoya boxing. No, this is beautiful boxing. But Floyd Mayweather Jr., a Riggo, or one of those fighters boxing is boring. So it's
He running.
yeah. So it's the same thing in this particular context. When Caitlin Clark, and even though we say John Cena, you can't see me, he's synonymous for it, but he didn't come up with it. But just to kind of point that out. But even with that being said, when she made the "you can't see me" hand gesture, oh, she's such a great competitor. She's fiery, competitive spirit, and so on and so forth. But yet, Angel Reese did the exact same thing she did. You call her a classless piece of crap, and he didn't say crap. You know what I'm saying? So the point I'm trying to make, bro, is a ridiculous double standard. And of course, we, on my video, I highlighted the differences. Leading up to the game, hour they stretching and they listening to a high school musical song, whereas LSU in their locker room they listen to Boosie set it off. And if you live in Baton Rouge like I do, whether you in Tigerland, whether you on the bluff, on the yard, Southern University, or anywhere in Baton Rouge, you bound to hear Boosie set it off. So, that's the music they listen to, to get out before the game. And of course, there's a huge, cultural difference. Angel Reese, even though she's the Bayou Barbie, she's from the DMV area. And, these young ladies from Iowa, it's just a cultural difference. And it's a double standard. And let's just be realistic. Would Jill Biden had invited LSU to the White House had LSU lost to Iowa? Of course not.
Nope.
Not at all.
Would Dave Pointer, would he have gotten a ridiculous amount of backlash for calling Caitlin Clark a classless piece of crap? Had he called her that for using the "you can't see me" John Cena hand gesture? So it's a ridiculous double standard. We see, like Josh JB pointed out, the reason why the LDBC is in existence because of the ridiculous racial double standard, and it's all throughout sports. It's all throughout. It's basically is embedded in the fabric of this country because, like I said, you could be a black person and a white person commit the same crime. Just say for example, it's drugs. I've literally seen in my own personal experience where white person, black person commit the exact same crime. The white person get probation and the black person get like 20 years. And it's ridiculous. You can see it with the opioid crisis compared to the crack epidemic. So it's a ridiculous double standard. And, we know, it's across the landscape in this country, whether it's sports, whether it's from an education standpoint, from the justice system, you can see it across the board,
Well
Very
said.
good point. Well said. And just reading what D Weezy put, even if you don't talk physical gestures, screaming after a play, tons of levels of talking smack. Yes. Yeah. And then the Road Pod put grown men commenting on young ladies and calling them names, little prick energy. That's exactly what it is. I think to a certain level, a lot of men are intimidated by some of these ladies doing that. That's just how I think. Like that dude that was in Suge Knight's 323 chat the other day. I think he like his women just in the kitchen, just cooking pancakes. Not saying anything. I that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. We got a lot of simps out here, gentlemen.
Well, I mean, bro, in this day and age, you have so many guys that's lonely. They'll do anything for attention from a woman. Whether it's simping, whatever the case may be. So it's just the environment and the society we live in nowadays, fellas. It is what it is.
I just think it's like what we just said. I think it's just hypocritical. We're in a hypocritical nation. Some people they want people to do certain stuff. They don't like Angel Reese, flossing and talking mess. But Kate Clayton and Clark is always she got moxie. She got swag or whatever. But Angel Reese does everybody want to hide their perks and be scared and stuff. It's hypocritical. It's the same way we would like with even though I don't like him, but with Floyd Mayweather, everybody was talking about how they don't like Floyd, bragging and showing money. But when Conor McGregor was at the top of UFC, nobody had a problem with it. So it's 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 just hypocritical. So
Very hypocritical. And um, just going back to basketball, the ladies beat Iowa 102-85. So, like what I said earlier, they pulled away in the fourth quarter, and they bench basically made it where not even Kate, the mighty Caitlin Clark herself, who was balling all tournament, couldn't even get them back into the game. So LSU Tigers, them ladies did their thing, man. So congratulations to them ladies, man. Uh, so now, as for the UConn versus San Diego game, uh, UConn beat San Diego State 76-59. Uh, I'm not even gonna hold you. I watched highlights of the game, and it looked like um the 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 team that's been there before just that out hustled the team that's um
never been there,
never
right?
been there. Yeah,
A young team versus an experienced team, and a team with culture, a culture of winning. So yeah,
yeah,
you right. You ain't miss nothing.
And I mean, not only that, but I think when San Diego State played against Alabama, it's like they played way over their head, in that particular game. And it kind of seems like after they beat Alabama, I'm not saying that was their championship game, but it seemed like they just wasn't the same team after the fact. Even the game they won, they pretty much literally trailed the entire game until they hit the game winning shot at the end of the game. So they didn't just it seemed like they weren't the same team after they beat Alabama. So
Right.
I think they just kind of overachieved, more than anything.
Y'all, let's all be honest here. Everybody stopped watching the game because them brackets was busted when Houston and Alabama Alabama went down. Everybody was like, "Oh hell with it."
yeah, yeah. That's exactly. I ain't gonna lie. I had money riding on. I'm not gonna lie. Houston to win it all.
Yeah, bro, I'm not gonna lie. It was definitely it wasn't chalk when it came to the men's side of the bracket for the NCAA tournament. It was more Cinderella stories than anything. But of course, Cinderella didn't win in the end, though.
Nope. She had to go back in the pumpkin carriage or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. It'd have been more exciting if San Diego won, but and going back to the women, that's why it was so exciting to see on the women's side LSU versus Iowa, because both those programs really didn't have never went that far in basketball before, let alone on the women's side. So that's why it was so entertaining, and those ladies was balling. They was putting it out on all out on the line and being very competitive. So shout out to those ladies, man. Shout out again. Congratulations to the LSU Tigers. Um, Despite our opinions on the racism or whatever, Caitlin Clark, uh, even though she basically came out and said that um she has no problem what Angel Reese did. Uh, Shout out to Caitlin Clark. I think she's coming back for one more year, so y'all look
She gonna
out.
be here.
Yeah,
Yeah, she
she's
gonna
gonna
be
be
here.
hell. She's gonna be hell. Congratulations to that young lady for having a hell of a season for men or women. Um, but coach, just going back to we're gonna talk about basically go back to the meat and potatoes what we usually talk about HBCU football. So scrimmages are happening right now. Well, some scrimmages won't happen in at least 2 more weeks. Um, but Southern scrimmage actually happened this past weekend, and our wonderful Coach 67 Sports TV, Southern Jaguar alum, Southern Jaguar fanatic, was definitely at the game, or the scrimmage game, I should say, to kind of scout out what talent may appear during the regular season. So, Coach, please tell us your opinion or your thoughts of what you saw.
Well, first of all, to kind of set the tone and the atmosphere for what was going on the yard, on the bluff, at Southern University. They predicted rain for like 40% chance for thunderstorms that day. That didn't happen. It was real hot. In addition to it being like extremely hot, they had a lot going on campus. They had Southern University. They had a baseball game. And in addition to that, there was a 7-on-7 tournament. You had teams all across the country playing a 7-on-7 tournament on Southern's practice field. Now, in terms of like the actual game itself, of course, it wasn't, your normal crowd, but it had a very good turnout for a spring game. And, of course, you didn't have the band either. And I think for a lot of the kids, that was a bit of a drawback because, having the human jukebox playing during the games, it kind of, gives it a different vibe, a different feel, a different atmosphere at A.W. Mumford Stadium, P. Richardson Field. So, you didn't have a band, but in terms of the actual action on the field, to be truthful, it was something to do, something to watch, but it didn't tell me a whole lot in terms of, what should I be looking for the fall season, in terms of the quarterback play. 3 quarterbacks played. Harold Blood, he was the starter. He got most of the reps. He was the third string quarterback this past season. For homecoming, he played pretty good against Virginia Lynchburg in terms of backup duty, but he struggled mightily against Jackson State in the SWAC championship game. The one play he got in against Jackson State, he dropped back the pass. Jackson State all out blitzed him. He tried to escape the pocket, and they hit him before he could get out, and he fumbled the ball. And he's more of a pocket passer more than anything. This is his 4th year at Southern. He has 2 years of eligibility left this coming season and the following season. So he has 2 years of eligibility left. To be truthful, Coach Dooley kind of made it obvious that, he's the guy he's riding with. He had a solid game. I mean, he made a lot of mistakes. He threw a pick 6, and then he threw some other passes that hit the opposing DBs in the hand. They just weren't able to catch. So he made some good passes. He made some bad passes. So it was kind of like a mixed bag with him. He got the most reps in terms of QB play. In terms of the other quarterbacks, our guy Dylan Maroda, who transferred from UAB, he saw some action. He didn't do that that great. He was solid, just like Blood was, but he made some ill-advised throws. He made some good plays. And the same thing with Noah Biden. Kind of, if I had to kind of give each one of them like where they stand. Of course, going into the season, Harold Blood is definitely gonna be the starter in terms of he gonna get the first crack. Now, I'm not saying he gonna be the starter the entire season because Coach Dooley could pull him at any point, but I think at this point, Coach Dooley really riding with him. I think he's more of the kind of the best of both worlds quarterback that Glenn Bo McDaniel was last year. In terms of the athlete, I think he's a better passer than Bashawn McCray, but I think at this point, I think Noah Biden is probably the most athletic of the three. And I think Dylan Marota probably is more of the pure pocket passer. Now, one of my coaching friends, he told me, like the last couple of days, he really believes that neither one of those three guys is going to be the starter going into the season. Southern, they have a couple quarterbacks. They have a quarterback from Dallas. I think his name is Chris Tucker, if I'm not mistaken. He didn't play in the spring game. He was a freshman this past year. I don't know if y'all know him, but there's just a little, not a lot, but his name is Chris Tucker. He's from Dallas. He went to Madison High School. There was a little buzz around him coming in, but he didn't play.
Okay, Dallas Madison. Okay.
No, he didn't play.
Okay.
And of course, Zay Tessett. He didn't play because he's still a senior at Scotlandville High. But my coaching friend is extremely high on him. He thinks he's going to be the guy that's going to be the starter for the upcoming season. Even though Zay probably has the highest star rating of any of the quarterbacks that is on Southern roster, that will be on Southern's roster. I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to see Coach Dooley going with a true freshman at the quarterback position. I mean, I could be wrong, but we'll kind of see, as things play out. And then also there's this quarterback that's coming in. His name is Jalen Woods. He's coming in from Atlanta, Georgia. Supposedly he's a pretty good quarterback too. So, in the leading up to the spring game, there was a lot of buzz. Not a lot of buzz, but, me knowing a couple people in the know, they basically were saying that Coach Dooley was looking for another quarterback. And, I don't know if he wasn't happy with the play when it came to Blood, Biden, and Marota, because that was the order they played in the spring game. Blood got by far the most snaps, and then Biden came in and he got, a few snaps, and then Marota came and he got a few snaps. So I don't know if he wasn't happy with those three, or maybe he just wanted more quarterback competition. So he's been looking, from what I understand, he's looking to add an extra quarterback. Now, aside from that, from the quarterback play, to me, the most impressive receiver of the group was Darren Morris. He had some big throws. Seemed like anytime Harold Blood got in trouble, he would look to Darren Morris. Darren Morris, made some big catches. I think he ran an out route and Blood hit him. And both he and the DB went up for the ball. He caught the pass and he got a long run for a touchdown. Every time he needed a big play, he would look for him. Also, in terms of like the running backs, Kobe Dillon, he returned from injury. He didn't play the entire 2022 season because he was out for the year. He came back. And Gerard Sims, of course, Gerard Sims was the starter. He rushed for 79 yards against LSU, and he had a big 53-yard rush against Jackson State the first time they played him in the Boombox Classic. But once he got the long run, he got hurt and he was out for the rest of the year. So he had a good day rushing. Of course, they don't keep stats for a spring game because, like you said, it's just, in a squad scrimmage. But if I had to guess, I'd probably say he had over 100 yards rushing. But, just seeing Morris, I mean, their wide receiving core is they stacked. I didn't see him, but we got August Petrie the third. Of course, they got Cassius Allen. Like I said, Darren Morris, Isaiah Taylor made a couple plays. George Qualls, Tyler Kirkwood, tight end Dupree Fuller. So those guys made plays. Now the one player that was inconspicuous by his absence was Reginald King, and from what I'm understanding, I don't. I think something happened behind the scenes. I don't know if something happened with Coach Dooley or one of the other coaches. From what I'm hearing, what I'm understanding, he won't be back with Southern because he's a local product, just like Zay. He went to Scotlandville High. He initially went to Alcorn initially, and then he transferred to Southern. He was more of a slot guy. He didn't have a huge season. He just had, they would throw him the pass every now and again in terms of like slants and crossing routes. Even though he's a speed guy, he was more of a possession type receiver, if that makes sense. So he didn't play, from what I'm understanding. He just gonna stick to track. I don't know what his scholarship situation is, but I didn't see him, and from what I'm understanding, he's not gonna be on the roster this coming year. I didn't see Chandler Whitfield, but Chandler Whitfield is still on the team. They're expecting a big season from him. Now, we talked about all these guys. We didn't even mention the fact that Jalen Howard, he didn't even come to Southern yet. So from a wide receiver standpoint, Southern gonna have a lot of toys to play with. They're just gonna need to be solid in terms of the offensive line play because they lost Dallas Black, who's first team all SWAC, and they lost Jeremiah Stafford, who's second team all SWAC. They pretty much anchored Southern's offensive line. So I think if they could replace those two and the offensive line could be solid the way it was this past year, I think if they get good quarterback play, I think the offense is going to be extremely explosive because they loaded at the wide receiver position. They loaded at the running back position with Gerard Sims and Colbert Dillon and Kendrick Rhymes and Carl Ligon. So I think in terms of the offense, I think as long as they get the right quarterback to pull the trigger, I think the offense is going to be explosive. Now, in terms of the defensive side of the ball, it's going to be hard to replace Jordan Lewis and Jason Dumas. But, of course, they had a couple of players that, from a defensive line standpoint, that really stood out. Kelby Givens and Trey Lang, they both, they did some big things in terms of, creating a lot of pressure. One play, both of them was after Austin. I mean, not let me say Austin Howell. They was after Harold Blood. Harold Blood had to step up in the pocket and make a good play. So, those two really wreaked a lot of havoc. Of course, they got some other people coming in. The top defensive player this coming year probably going to be linebacker Jalen Campbell, but, I didn't see a whole lot of him. But for the most part, I think if Southern offensive and defensive lines solid and they have the right quarterback pulling the trigger in terms of the offense, I think Southern is going to be a solid team. And I dare say, of course, it depends on what other SWAC schools do. I could easily see them playing in the SWAC championship game again.
Okay, I hear you. I definitely hear you. Of course, I'm probably gonna disagree on that, but you being Southern's faithful, I know you're gonna have. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that they're not capable of doing so. Like you said, your wide receiving core is very stacked. I would go up there and say it's probably gonna be slept on as far as the SWAC. But we gotta see what that defense looking like, Coach.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, that kind of goes without saying, I think if the offense, see, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Every time Southern won a SWAC championship, they had a real good quarterback, whether that was Eric Randall, whether that was Quincy Richard, whoever the case may be, you need the right guy pulling the trigger. So if Harold Blood or Noah Biden or Dylan Maroda or Zay Tessett or Chris Tucker or whoever, if they don't have the right guy pulling the trigger at quarterback, it's not going to matter. But I think if they get the right quarterback, the offensive line is solid. They loaded their wide receiver. Now, you got to realize Southern's defense was I mean, they didn't have a phenomenal defense. I think more than anything, they were just solid. So I think if they got the defense could be comparable to what it was last year, I think if they live up to their fullest potential from an offensive standpoint, then yeah, I think they're capable of winning the SWAC championship. I'm not saying they are, but I think they have the potential, if anything, you know.
Okay, okay, and I mean, can't wait for football, man.
Yeah, me and you,
Um,
bro.
but there's some rumblings over there in Jackson State saying Jason Brown. Basically, this is what they're saying. But you know how you know, Jackson State fans are. You know what I mean? They yeah, especially all HBCU fanatics, man. They gonna pull for their team, right? Or even cap for their team sometimes, right? They're saying that Jason Brown is throwing darts in practice. The quarterback transferred from, I think he was gonna go to Southern, and then, well, he originally went to Virginia Tech, then he transferred to Southern, and now Jackson State got him. Now everybody's saying that basically he's, like a lot of people saying, he's up there with Shador. But of course, I'm gonna go ahead and say that's a little bit far fetched. We have to hold your horses. Let's see um what he does, you know, against the real deal. But
Man, that
hey,
boy like third string on Virginia Tech.
Bro, I'm gonna be honest. You have to take that comment with a grain of salt. The reason being, I'm not even gonna go I'm not even gonna look at it from Jackson State perspective. I'm gonna look at it from a Southern perspective, right? At one point when he transferred from JC, they said Ladarius Skelton was gonna be the best quarterback at Southern since Slice Braid. He was gonna be better than Eric Randall. He was gonna be better than Quincy Richard. And look how that turned out. I mean, he did play in the SWAC championship game, but if anything, I say he was the reason they lost it. And in addition to that, if you look at Bashawn McCray, by all accounts, you know, he had an excellent spring game last spring, and look what he did this past season. So, bro, I mean, you got to take that with a grain of salt. Even, let's take it a step further. You know, supposedly Dylan Marotta was supposed to be the savior. You know, he went to UAB. He transferred from UAB and came to Southern. Of course, despite what people might say, Coach Dooley was already recruiting him already anyway, like Jay Good pointed out. But, bro, you know, from what I saw of him Saturday, of course, I didn't see a whole lot of him. But just from what I saw, you know, he isn't a world beater. I mean, he transferred from UAB to Southern for a reason. And to be truthful, you know, the reason why my coaching friend is so high on the kid Zay Tessett is that he feel like, you know, quarterback play at Southern, you know, even though if he had to move Zay from the equation, just going with the three quarterbacks they have now, he think Harold Blood is about, you know, head and shoulders above Marotta and Biden. But the point of it was, you know, the way they were talking, like, you know, once he entered the transfer portal and Southern got him, you know, the way they were talking about Dylan Marotta, like he was going to be like all world. And bro, from what I've seen of him thus far, he's not that guy. So the point I'm trying to make is, you know, even if he's looking that good in practice, that don't mean he's going to be that guy. And just because they anoint you, you know, the next superstar, that don't mean you're going to be that guy. You have to, like we said about Marotta, you and I, when we talked about him on the show, he has to do it on the field. So
yeah,
they could say everything, he doing all these great things in practice or even in the spring game or whatever. Until he actually do it in SWAC play, it don't mean nothing, bro.
that's right. That's right. We have to see it in
What
conference play. Go ahead, JB.
what I always say, Jared, we won't see until they do what?
Put the pass on.
Put them pads on. There's a reason why Shador is different because you kind of Shador had a skill he could play, right? and I'm not in the HBCU football like y'all, but I'm not no novice. The boy that they talking about coming in, he was, I'm a more of an ACC guy, football guy. He was on Virginia Tech about third, fourth string. He was there for a reason. Football still football. You know what I'm saying? I'm not. I mean, just because he go to HBCU doesn't mean he gonna be the man there. He might be terrible at Jackson State. Just watching y'all and how listening to y'all shows. You know what I'm saying? You got some ballers in HBCUs. You know what I'm saying? So like Coach said, how many times these dudes coming thinking it was gonna be sweet in HBCUs and they get their feelings hurt.
That's true.
So let's wait till they put them pads on. You know, especially with Jackson State, Prime ain't there no more. Let's see what the other coach there. Do there. So as far as the Jags, you know what I'm saying? I don't really follow the Jaguars football like that. But I know that they are competitive in the SWAC. I do know that. They try to stay competitive. And they old coach when I used to watch the Jags, he's now in Mississippi Valley, I think.
No, Norfolk.
Norfolk, excuse me. So I mean, let's see.
And just to kind of finish it off in that regard, I mean, many instances. Don't get me wrong. You got guys that transfer from PWIs and from Power Fives to SWAC schools, and they walk right into the star lineup. They become first team All SWAC, first team All Americans. But at the same token, there's guys that's on the opposite end of that spectrum also. Those guys that transfer from the Power Fives, and those guys don't live up to their fullest potential. So if he transferred from Southern to Jackson State, if he'd have been that guy, I mean, don't get me wrong. I know you're gonna have some Coach Duty detractors. They're gonna be like, well, hey, Bashawn McCray shouldn't have been starting this year, and he started most of the season. But at the same token, if he was, this superstar that people claim he is, if he throwing darts and this, that, and the third, if he'd have had he wild Coach Dooley or even Coach Rollins, he would have been starting in Southern as opposed to having to transfer to Jackson State. So to be truthful, hearsay is hearsay until he actually, is tearing up the SWAC. I mean, just by what you just said and from what I've been hearing, I mean, you would think this guy is, the greatest potential SWAC quarterback ever, like he Devontae Kincaid, Eric Rand, Doug Williams, Kendrick Nord, or whoever. Man, if he that guy, he got to show me. He got to show me on the field. I don't want to just hear the hearsay. I want to see it on the field.
I mean, again, I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. You being in Louisiana, I know you have to keep. A lot of times, you have to keep tabs on your in-state SWAC rival, Grambling. Any news from how they're doing and with the players that are coming in and any news from them?
Well, I mean, for the most part, it's a lot. The thing I don't like about this time of season is, just like in boxing, a lot of times during this time of year when you kind of have like not a lot going on, I think people try to manufacture false narratives just to have something to talk about. So if in boxing, if you don't have a big fight coming up, people are manufacturing something about Deontay Wilder, or maybe they'll create a false narrative about Errol Spence Jr., Terrence Crawford, or whatever the case may be. And even at Southern SWAC game last week, supposedly, they're supposed to be this defensive end that's supposed to be like 6'5", 285. He's supposed to be this guy, that guy. He's coming in the fall or maybe in the summer. Supposedly he's supposed to be either the replacement for Jason Dumas or the replacement for Jordan Lewis, either or. And I'm kind of hearing the same thing about, Grambling, supposedly Grambling got this one wide receiver that's supposed to be all world, that's supposed to be transferring there, and supposedly a linebacker that's supposed to be this, that, and the third. And I'm like, so more than anything, at this time of year, it's kind of difficult to decipher what is true and what isn't. So, like I said, more than anything, like you said earlier, I'm just ready for the season to start and just kind of get to the season. Yeah, I don't want to hear all these rumors. I won't see it on the field.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
I mean, they doing what they supposed to do. They hyping their team up, and who over there coaching Grambling?
Hugh Jackson.
Hugh
Hugh
Jackson.
Jackson. Well, Hugh gonna have to show me something.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest. I know your brother. He was much higher on
I like
Coach
you.
Jackson. Coach Jackson. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think when he was in the NFL, he was a heck of an offense coordinator on an NFL level. But
Right.
what I saw from him in the SWAC champ, I mean, not SWAC championship. I'm sorry, the Bayou Classic. From an X and O standpoint, my coaches, they always taught me, kiss, keep it simple, stupid. Bro, had he just stuck to the running game and had he gave Frank Chalk the Ford the ball as much as he should have given it to him, Brown to beat Southern, and Southern doesn't go to the SWAC championship game.
Bro, like, and it's I don't know where it's like some of these offensive coordinators at a higher level don't understand that. Where they see something working, right, and they just go away from it. Where it's like they trying, okay, so yeah, this time we just gonna pass now. We getting 5 yards per carry, but we just gonna just start. You know, these two next. I know we know it's we ran it on the first down and we're 2nd and 5 now. So the second and third down, we just gonna throw it now. You know what I'm saying? So it's just that just drives me crazy.
Bro, I'm in 100% agreement with you on that. I think coaches, especially like you said, when they get to higher levels of football, they try to outthink themselves. And to me, I'm gonna go away from the SWAC for a minute. The perfect example of this was when in the Super Bowl when the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks played each other, and they were literally on a 2-yard line, and the Patriots had stopped Marshawn Lynch the entire game. Bro, you're on a 2-yard line. There's 20 seconds left. It's 2nd and goal from the 2. You got 20 seconds left and 2 timeouts. Just run the freaking ball, bro. Instead, because usually when you run a pick play, you run a pick play to the outside.
Right.
You literally ran a pick play to the inside. The pass got intercepted and you lose the Super Bowl.
That's totally coaching.
And I'm like, bro, I don't care who the offense coordinator is. If I'm Pete Carroll at that point, I'm like, no. And I know the narrative was that they were having issues with Marshawn Lynch behind.
They didn't want Marshawn to be
the game. Bro, I don't care. I won't win the effing game. So that's why a lot of people think when it comes to these type of play calls that there's gambling involved and that Vegas made some kind of call on that type of thing. Because, bro, it made no sense. It's like, bro, you stupid. Why would you throw the ball on the 2-yard line? And if you're going to throw a pick play, throw it to the outside. You're going to throw a pick play to the inside where all the traffic is. It's like, bro, it's stupid.
Since we bringing up that play calling, I'll bring you up another Super Bowl. I'll bring you to the New England Patriots and the Atlanta Falcons, where first half the reason why they had to lead because they couldn't stop Dante Freeman, or was it Deontay Freeman? Devontae Freeman.
Yeah.
He was getting 5, 6 yards, 10 yards of carry, which opened up the passing game, and they respected the run. So now in the second half, I remember where they just stopped. They tried to make Matt Ryan be the hero or whatever. And then even when it got closer, right? When they were starting to come back, they still was in control because they were driving. They started to run. And I remember when they got across the 50, right? Devontae, no, not Devontae, but Julio Jones made this beautiful catch, right? And all they had, and they was in their territory. All they had to do was run the ball, kick the field goal. They was up 7, and then they would have made it a 2-score game. They had like 5 minutes left. They called three passing plays. On the third down, Matt Ryan got sacked and knocked him out of field goal range.
I mean, just think about it, bro. They were up 31-3. And going into the second half. It's like, bro, and you gotta realize that head coach, he was the defensive coordinator for the same Seahawks team I just talked about. So, I mean, basically, it's like he was a part of the stupid play calls in Seattle, and then he went and became for the Falcons, and it's like, bro, that was like the most epic collapse in Super Bowl history. I promise you, if I was the head coach of that game, hey, I'm not gonna lie, I'm just trying to pound a rock to split wide open. You up, dude, you up by 28 points. You got a whole second half. They can't stop your running game. Just run the ball, shorten the game, chew up clock. Let's get out of here. Let's raise this Lombardi trophy. Just it's simple. And like you said, I just think Hugh Jackson, he just took that NFL mindset to the sport.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, bro, like
That's exactly what he
it's
did.
not difficult,
That's exactly what he did, man. And it boggles your mind. These dudes get paid a whole bunch of money to, basically
Make those mistakes.
not to make those mistakes. You know what I mean? So
And it's like where we've come from is run it till they stop it. You know what I'm saying?
Here in Louisiana, like the teams I played for and the teams I coached, it always kind of been a mindset like, hey, we gonna pound this rock till it's split wide open. If you don't stop us, we just gonna keep running it. Now, if you stop us, then we're gonna do something else. But until that point, we just gonna keep doing what we're doing.
Everybody trying to be this wonderful, fantastic offensive coordinator and show that um they can call plays. But like you said, and that what went over a lot of people's head, this Vegas, the betting and stuff like that. Ain't nobody stupid. You know what I'm saying? But of course we like as sports heads and sports fanatics. We don't want to believe that, but I mean some of these games, man, football, basketball, and even in the LDBC, y'all talk about boxing. You be like, yeah, that don't look right. So
Yeah, and I mean, at some point, you just got to use common sense. If because Calvez, he wasn't a world beater at quarterback, and you controlling the game. It's a back and forth game, but you in control. Like, bro, every time you just line up and run the ball, I don't care what formation it was. I don't care if you line up in the I, ace double tight, I double tight, whatever formation you lined up in. If you just lined up and you just pounded the rock and just ran the ball, Southern couldn't stop. And it's like, bro, at some point, Calvez was turning the ball over. Like, I mean, I thought he played a decent game, Calvez, but the point I'm trying to make is like, bro, like, you're an NFL head coach, NFL offensive coordinator. You're on the swag level now. Like, just keep it simple, bro. Just put your team in the best position to win.
that's it.
So, and I know from a swag standpoint, we know we ain't really got to worry about Vegas and the bookies and all that. So, from that standpoint, I think it was bad play calling, bro.
man,
Horrible.
I give you one, Jerry. You remember we had he gone now, thank God. Phil Longo, our offensive coordinator for the Tar Heels. This is when we had Javante Williams and Michael Carter, two-headed monsters. And what I'm saying, this is when Sam Howell was our quarterback. Instead of running the ball, Michael, I remember one game. I can't remember who we played, but Michael Carter and Javante was having a ball. They were getting. Michael Carter was running and catching on them boys. Javante, he break 3-4 tackles and keep running, but it's like they trying to. Sam Howell wasn't having a good game. They was like trying to force him. You know what I'm saying, to get him in the game. I'm like, he's not playing good. That's where you got your running backs, and this is where I see the game at going towards like like something bad because right now they devalue the running back position. You see what I'm saying? Especially in the NFL. So now everybody's a passing league. Everything is passing league. And I think like you can't do that in high school and college because you don't have that type of, you know what I'm saying? It's not that type of how does I say? Because I don't want to expect the college brothers and high school brothers. It's not that they don't have the fundamentals the NFL players have to just and not to tell you the truth in the NFL. Not everybody is built just to throw the football 40 times like a Tom Brady or Drew Brees, and what Phillip Rivers used to do with the Chargers. So I think this this um this new brand of football where everybody devaluing the running backs and everybody want to throw the ball. I'm coming from that school, the Jamal Lewis, the Jerome Bettis, especially in the AFC North, the Rudy Johnsons. Come on, man. Then when the Jaguars was in our division, you had Fred Taylor. You know what I'm saying? I'm from that that school watching
And,
football.
and he
So
had Corey dealing with the Patriots
Corey Dillon was was the Cincinnati Bengals
for a little bit. Yeah.
for a little bit. So to me, the running back is always going to be high value, and I bet you in the draft coming up, everybody want to pick running backs in the second round. But I think running backs might be you got some first round um talented running backs in this year's draft, but everybody gonna slobber over to quarterbacks, which I don't think is a good class. I think the top three is good, and then the wide receivers is okay. It wasn't as deep as last year, but I think the running backs is pretty loaded this year. But that's just me. But going back on what we was talking about, man, it's just the play calling is because the mindset, coach. Everybody thinks everybody wants to be and think they want to be pass happy when their offense ain't built like that.
Yeah,
You gotta, you gotta
wasn't built like that this past season.
yeah. Especially if you ain't got a quarterback that can make all those type of throws. So, you know, I'll shut up now.
Okay. So um, I hear you, but you have to you have to upgrade to the what's going on in the times. If you know it's a passing league, get yourself some wide receivers, some solid wide receivers, and that's the problem that Baltimore is having. Um, like Lamar Jackson was having, and there's like a little mini civil war going in amongst the Baltimore Ravens fans. Basically, one half saying, yeah, good riddance, he's greedy, he only won one playoff game, and uh, we can get another quarterback, trade him for some picks. And the other half, the other side, which I'm on, if we need to keep Lamar, we never had anything like him. We haven't. But I think the other side that uh, is failing to realize that is wanting Lamar to leave is Lamar really never had a legit number one. One guy I was arguing with in Sip the Tally's live, and his call in show is he basically tried to say that the year that he won MVP, he had weapons as far as through the passing game. And then he tried to use the running game as like he tried to hang his hat on the running game. Like, yeah, we had one of the best we had the best running game in the league, but push comes to shove. If you need to throw the ball on 3rd and 15, I love Willie Snead, but Willie Snead ain't gonna cut it sometimes, most of the time.
Well, I mean, he passed his expiration date at this point anyway, bro.
I'm talking about back then. You know what I mean? Even Marquise Brown was a decent receiver. You know
No,
what I mean?
no, but basically what I was saying, once he left the Saints, he was done at that point.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah, and I agree. I agree. So it just boggles my mind. Like they act like Lamar had Torrey Smith. I mean Torrey Smith. We be lucky if we had Torrey Smith, a young Torrey Smith. But they act like they had Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce. We had
Yeah, like they were the
those
greatest,
type of wide receivers. Yeah,
like they were the greatest show on turf or something, huh?
yeah, yeah. We had nothing. We had, and they're more than that. But I had to kind of joke about it to get my point across. We had freaking practice squad wide receivers, basically.
He went in about 8 games, 10 games with them. So I mean, it's like us and
And we
Coach
ain't
said
gonna,
in the past. Go
and
ahead.
we're not even gonna mention the offensive coordinator, like Greg Roman. Like he did what he could, but at the same time, like he couldn't do much as far as drawing up um creative passing schemes. But
Well,
but we can talk about that all night. We're gonna just go ahead and wrap it up because I know Coach he's got to get ready for his weekend. And Coach, thank you so much for joining me this Friday night. I appreciate you. I know you probably had a lot of things to do. You being a
Bro,
busy man.
I enjoy chopping it up with y'all. You know what I'm saying? Salute to the awesome and amazing LDBC. Salute to the greatest university in the world, the Southern University, home of the mighty Jaguars. Catch me and the fan tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Bayou Sports Talk. I had a ball with y'all fellas. Everybody have a blessed, phenomenal evening. Hope y'all enjoyed y'all Good Friday.
And I second that. Y'all have a blessed Friday. Have a blessed Easter Sunday. Y'all be safe out here. Uh, JB, anything you want to say before we leave?
same old, man. Y'all be blessed, man. Shout out to the LDBC, and y'all have a good and safe weekend, man.
All right. Well, shout out to everybody that joined D Weezy, the Road Podcast. I appreciate you, brothers, man. Um, thank you for joining us this time of night, man. I know that y'all had better stuff to do, but y'all was here. I thank you guys. Um, again, y'all have a blessed night. Thanks for listening.
Peace and blessings, everyone.
Y'all be easy.